The Shining, 1980s The Shining. This is a classic horror film. I think it'd be funny. Dylan, I know you haven't seen this movie and probably don't know anything about it, but describe the plot for us.
Yeah, give me 1 second to collect my thoughts here.
No. Don't fucking look up a Wikipedia page for it or anything.
Okay, so The Shining
is a lot of references to it. There's so many pop culture references to this movie you've seen. Like, try and make it up based on that.
Tanner, your first assumption was thinking I know pop culture references. Anyway, so this is a big old murder movie with a murder guy, and we got our 3 characters in the movie that are trying to not get murdered, and slowly, one by one of each of them dies until there's the last person who doesn't die, and the last person escapes, and we never see the murderer again, and he continues to do murderer things, and that's the end of the movie.
Do you feel like there are any famous quotes about this film that are ringing around in there that happen?
I don't know anything about The Shining. I don't even know who the murderer is.
Damn.
I'm gonna go read the description now.
Anyways,
it's pretty accurate.
I guess I'll also just go and give a brief description of this movie. I think Dylan did a pretty solid job. I feel like Dylan's was
adequate, but yeah, I guess that you can go ahead, Jackson.
Yeah, might as well if I'm here, right? So basically, The Shining is about this couple and their child. They're a married couple, and the father is taking on a job as like the keeper of this like massive hotel over the winter while there's nobody there, so they're like operating the generators and stuff and keeping the general vibe of the place pretty good. There's also some like ghost spookiness happening. The child is a shining or whatever. They don't really dive super deep into it. There's also like a cook or something that works there that also has the shining or something, and they're able to like talk to each other or something. They don't really delve too deep into like the powers of how this works. But there's like ghosts and shit in this place, and there was a legend of a previous family that stayed there where the husband went fucking crazy, like stir crazy of just being alone for so long, and he ended up killing his entire family with an axe. So, you know, things happen. The husband goes crazy and he attempts to kill his entire family with an axe, you know, as he just progressively gets kookier and kookier. You know, he's talking to people that don't exist. He's wandering around. The fucking kids cycling around through the hotel. It gets strangled by some ghost or some shit. Wife's going crazy because his husband's going crazy. And eventually the husband, he goes crazy. He tries killing them with an axe. You know, it writes itself. And the wife and the kid are attempting to evade him. Kid ends up like leading him to this maze that's outside the property. He fucking dodges him. I guess the husband also kills the fucking cook while he's in there. That's the only guy that dies in this movie too, which is fucked up. I love that guy. I love the cook guy. He just gets fucking he drives up there to save the wife and kids, gets fucking axed, and that's like his entire part, which is so sad. And then the wife and the kid take the snowmobile machine, I don't know what the fuck it is, that he took up there to take them, you know, and then they escape off that, and then the husband fucking dies. He like freezes to death outside. And that's The Shining, and then like it loops back and shows that he was actually the guy, you know, the husband was the guy, I guess, that went crazy like 80 years ago. Now he was like the person in the folklore or something. I think it's the implication. There's a bunch of...
I thought the implication was his soul is like trapped in the hotel now.
That was also what I took away from it. That's the big thing about The Shining, though. A lot of it is, like, you know, not super explained, and it leads really well to theories and stuff like that, to, like, you know, really dissect this film. Now, I'm gonna make a wild comparison here, and I want you guys to just bear with me for a second, okay? I liken The Shining a lot to Fritz the Cat, okay?
Actually,
hold on a second.
I was about to say shut the fuck up, but then I realized I have no idea where you're going with this, so continue.
I liken it a lot to Fritz the Cat because I feel like this is the kind of movie that's a lot more entertaining to like discuss and like dissect and stuff like that, more than it really is to watch.
Sure.
Fantastic. That's all I was looking for. Now, real quick here, guys, I just want to ask a little question to you. Who amongst us do you feel like would be the most likely to have The Shining?
Dylan.
Yeah, I think it's Dylan as well.
Yeah, Dylan.
Let's go.
Now, I guess let me... I'll start off with something good and then I'll bring up something bad. Obviously, I feel like the entire point of watching this movie is Jack Nicholson's performance.
Oh, yeah. His performance is fucking crazy good.
Mm-hmm. He's just really fun to watch as he's going crazy. I feel like before he's like crazy, his performance is like kind of bad. because it feels like he's already crazy through most of it. And I feel like that final turn comes on a bit too quickly, in my opinion.
I do agree a little bit. I don't think his performance prior to that was bad at all, but I definitely do think we would have benefited a lot from actually seeing him interact with his family a lot more before he goes crazy, because he really basically never talks to his son throughout this entire film.
And that's why he went crazy, because he was isolated for so long. He kept isolating himself when he was writing. It's writing itself.
These also, like, this is not a believable married couple at all. They don't seem to like each other, like, whatsoever.
I think that is a believable married couple. Ayo!
Especially back in the 80s.
Yeah. Back before Richard Nixon was in office and legalized fucking no-fault divorce or whatever. Even though he also beat his son, but you know.
Right. Here's my biggest issue with the movie. My biggest issue is actually The Shining, because, and like, I've tried thinking this through. Maybe I need a new perspective on it. So tell me if you think I'm wrong about this. If you took out The Shining entirely, would the plot be different at all?
Yeah, I think so.
My problem with The Shining is I don't know how it relates to anything but the kid. I might just be like totally missing a lot of the subtleties of it. But honestly, it looks like the husband's just going fucking crazy, and the kid does his own shit. The kid being like strangled and freaking out the mom is kind of what like triggers the husband like going like full psycho, I think, potentially. But I feel like there's a better way they could have done that, and I don't really know if The Shining really adds to much other than them just getting the fucking guy to come up and try to save them, and then they can steal his car after he gets axed down. It felt kind of forced in and not like super fleshed out.
Yeah, that's
me.
what I'm saying. He gets axed immediately, so that doesn't really matter. And like, you could easily just write around not having him bring a snowcat up, or you could even just say like he wasn't summoned by the kid, you know, needing help. He just was like, I figure they might need help, you know. So like, Nico, in your estimation, what would be different if like the psychic powers weren't in this?
Well, so like a big part of The Shining seems to be like they're able to like sort of like interact with like this other world or whatever. Like the little kid, he's able to talk to this other spirit, it seems like. And so, by my estimation, what I think, guys, is that Jack Nicholson also has The Shining. And because of that, he's able to talk with all these fucking other ghosts that are present within the hotel. And that's what's making him go fucking crazy. Because it's like, hey dude, you should murder your family now. I think that would be pretty freaking cash money if you did that, bro. You should go ahead and do it. And I think that's a big part of why he's going fucking crazy, you know? It's a mixture of like the isolation. It's a mixture of him being like constantly tempted by these evil spirits and shit like that. It's making him go, hey, murdering my family might not be so bad. I think it could be pretty sweet.
That's a perfectly valid interpretation. It's just the way I see it is I kind of see the kid having psychic powers as entirely separate from the ghost shenanigans. Like, I just see it that this is like a haunted hotel and it's gonna do evil shit, and that's kind of separate from, oh, some people have telepathy.
Yeah, I don't know if it like works super well just because they don't really explain it that much. I definitely see where Nico's coming from, especially because you could look at it in the sense of like, you know, the kid gets possessed a little bit at the end there with like the red or rum thing where you're saying murder backwards. Clearly something fucked up's going on there, and you could probably liken that to what's going on with the father and draw a parallel there. Fair enough, but I don't know. I feel like they just don't explain The Shining enough to like want to be able to grasp with that.
I think an easy fix to my problem here is just do something where the kid and his dad communicate with each other telepathically. That way you can make it clear that the dad also has The Shining, and that's why some of his craziness is going on. And also, I feel like that'd actually be kind of interesting, where the dad is now crazy, trying to kill the kid, and he can like telepathically taunt the kid as he's trying to find him.
That would be pretty interesting. But Guasson, dude, they don't want to make things that straightforward in this film. That's
you hear that, Stanley Kubrick, you fucking hack? I just improved your movie.
We seem to do that a lot here at Guapish movies.
Oh yeah, we would be excellent film writers. I feel like if we were to put in charge of directing a movie, it would be absolutely perfect and nothing would go wrong whatsoever. That's one of the interesting parts of looking at this movie, is just seeing like all the fucking fan theories and stuff like that, trying to explain what's going on in The Shining. But also like one of the kind of like really kind of parts, you know, where like Stanley Kubrick is looked at as like this absolute fucking genius. Okay, it's like there are a lot of like weird things going on in The Shining, where like parts of the background, like in like the next shot, are like entirely separate, but you don't really notice it because you're not paying attention to what's going on back there. Things are constantly like moving, and you don't see it between shots and stuff like that. And it's like, okay, a lot of this does feel very intentional to give the movie a really like weird, sort of like off vibe, and a lot of that can be used to kind of like explain some of these weird supernatural things that are happening. But at the same time, like, you know, because people view Stanley Kubrick as an absolute genius, they're like, okay, well, this explains everything and all of the issues that I have with the movie. Like, do you see how there's a Tony the Tiger back here behind this woman during this one shot? That obviously explains how the child knew that this one thing was happening, because the Tony the Tiger is the evil spirit that the kid is talking to this whole time. Ergo, it's able to see what's going on and relay that information to the child. It's a bunch of stupid ass shit like that, where it's like, okay, I think you might be looking a little too far into this movie.
Right, yeah. I don't even think this movie is that complicated. It's a haunted hotel and it drove a guy crazy because it has evil spirits in it.
Yes. But
Like,
are there actually evil spirits, Tanner?
Yes, dude, that's why he went crazy. That's why there was a blood elevator. That's why the wife saw those weirdos in the fucking room fucking or something doing their weirdo shit. But they weren't there because they were ghosts, considered.
I kind of wish they didn't show that flash forward stuff at the very beginning of the movie. I think I have come down on, it would have been cooler to see that in the moment.
Speaking of seeing things in the moment, Tanner, do you have anything else to say about this film, or would you like to kick off our rankings for it?
I got something to say about this movie. Johnny's here and he brought the red rum. Anyway, continuing on with the rankings.
Fantastic. By the way, Dylan, I think you could... I believe in your ability to watch this movie.
No,
I don't think it's going to freak you out that much.
No, I don't know how it would, but...
Yep. Okay. I'm going to give it an... Oh, do I want to change that?
I'm giving it an A.
I'm giving it an A.
Oh.
I'm gonna give it a B+.
Oh.
Whoa.
What a fucking loser.
I liked the
shit.
movie. I do think one thing we didn't really talk about very much was how suspenseful this film is. I feel like it does a pretty good job of that. Also, like, you know, all the performances are fantastic. You know, obviously, as we know, boys, as you may have heard, this movie had like a lot of retakes and shit like that drove the fucking actors fucking insane, alright? Like that scene where she's like trying to fend him off on the stairs, that apparently took like 150 takes. Because Stanley Kubrick just wanted to drive these people insane and actually get like more realistic portrayals of their craziness of constantly redoing the same thing over and over again. That kind of stuff's pretty cool. I like hearing about that, but also, like, you know, I feel like this movie is pretty good.
Just from a movie-making perspective, this is really fucking impressive, too. I thought it was really well shot all around. I think they did a lot of really cool scenes and stuff. I like the surreal imagery they were doing a lot of the time. It was just a really entertaining movie throughout the entirety of it, even if the plot is pretty incomprehensible, but, you know, that's kind of the intention behind it. I think it's fun to think about, too. You know, I like the idea of having a movie that's pretty up to interpretation, but it's still entertaining at a surface level.
Yeah,
big fan of that type of shit.
Yeah, it's definitely one thing that I enjoy a lot personally. I've said it a few times previously, but I really, really like it when, like, a film or some other piece of media is like, hey, here's like a good, solid story for you that you can enjoy. It's just like, you know, it doesn't take a lot to really understand it all. You can just sit down, look at it at face value, and enjoy it. But there's this entire separate layer to it, where if you really start digging in to all this other shit, all this symbolism and stuff like that, there's this entirely separate interpretation you can take away from this movie. I think that kind of stuff is really cool. If you are solely focusing on that top layer, I think that's shit. I think you're a hack fraud. But if you combine the two of those, then that's fantastic. I'm a big fan of that.
Anyways, B+, he says, and that puts it at an A- overall, which I would definitely agree. This is, like, by far the best movie we watched this week. It's not even a comparison.
Yeah.